Can we make this quick? I have a spa appointment at noon. The voice cuts through Providence Municipal Court like nails on marble. Victoria Ashford. 42, CEO's wife. Diamond earrings catching courtroom fluorescence. She doesn't look at Judge Frank Caprio. She looks through him. Mrs. Ashford, the judge says, voice calm as still water. This is a courtroom, not a calendar negotiation. She sighs, loudly, checks her Apple Watch. My husband funds 3 buildings in this city. Surely we can skip the theater. The clerk stops typing. Officer Denton shifts his weight. 5 seconds of silence. Then 7. Subscribe to All Rise if you still believe respect belongs in court, because what happens next rewrites the rules. 10 seconds now. Wealth funds projects, Caprio says, each word a careful stone. It doesn't fund privilege. Victoria's jaw tightens. Her manicured nails tap the defendant's table. Ms. Reyes, the judge continues, please read the case number and charges. The clerk clears her throat. Case 2025 TR 09417. Victoria Ann Ashford. Charges: reckless driving through a school zone, obstruction of traffic enforcement, destruction of citation, failure to appear on 2 certified summons, contempt of court. Victoria waves her hand like she's dismissing a waiter. This is absurd. Officer, tell him what really happened. Mrs. Ashford, Caprio interrupts. You'll have your turn. Officer Denton, please approach. The traffic officer steps forward, badge gleaming, shoulders square. Your Honor, on October 14th at 8:04 a.m., I clocked the defendant traveling 47 miles per hour through the Wickenden Elementary School zone. Posted limit 15. Victoria laughs, actually laughs. Officer, I was late for a board meeting. The children weren't even... Mrs. Ashford, Caprio's voice drops lower. You will not speak over sworn testimony in my courtroom. She leans back, crosses her arms. Continue, officer. I activated lights and sirens. She didn't stop for 3 blocks. When I approached her vehicle, she was on her phone. The judge makes a note. What happened next? I explained the violation. She told me... Officer Denton pauses, consulting his notepad. Quote, do you know who I am? My husband's company just donated $200,000 to your department. A murmur ripples through the courtroom gallery. Victoria sits up straighter. I was simply stating facts. Facts or threats, Mrs. Ashford? Caprio asks. Context, Your Honor. Context. The judge glances at the file. Officer, did she accept the citation? No, sir. She tore it in half, threw it on the ground, then drove away while I was still standing there. I had an emergency, Victoria snaps. What emergency? Caprio asks. A conference call about our new foundation wing. Silence. This time it's colder. Officer Denton, is there dash cam footage? Yes, Your Honor, and body cam audio. Ms. Reyes, please cue the video. The courtroom monitor flickers to life. Timestamp, 08:04:32 a.m. A silver Mercedes SUV. Wickenden Elementary's crosswalk in frame. Children with backpacks crossing slowly. A crossing guard holding up her stop sign. Then the Mercedes accelerates. Not slowing. Not stopping. Kids scatter. The crossing guard jumps back. One child trips, falls, gets pulled up by another kid. Victoria looks away from the screen. Mrs. Ashford, Caprio says quietly, those children are someone's entire world. Nobody got hurt, she mutters. By grace, not by your choices. The video continues. Officer Denton's patrol car following. Lights flashing. 3 blocks, 4, 5. Finally, the Mercedes pulls over. The body cam audio kicks in. Officer Denton's voice. Ma'am, license and registration, please. Victoria's voice, sharp and impatient. This is ridiculous, I'm late. You were traveling 47 in a 15-mile-per-hour school zone. Those zones are suggestions during certain hours. It's 8:04 a.m., ma'am. School zone hours are 7:30 to 8:30. Well, I didn't see a clock. The sound of paper rustling. Ma'am, I'm issuing a citation for... You're issuing nothing. Victoria's voice rises. My husband funds half your equipment. You think this little piece of paper matters? The tearing sound is unmistakable. Ma'am, destruction of a citation is a separate... Send it to my lawyer. Actually, don't. It won't matter. My family writes checks that keep this city running. You're just a... The audio crackles. Pathetic lowlife in a uniform. The courtroom freezes. Officer Denton's face doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. The video ends. If you believe donations should never buy leniency, hit subscribe on All Rise, because this judge is about to teach a masterclass in accountability. Caprio removes his reading glasses, folds them slowly. Mrs. Ashford, did you just hear yourself? She shrugs. I was frustrated. You called a peace officer a pathetic lowlife. I was having a bad morning. Officer Denton was doing his job, protecting children. Nobody got hurt, she repeats. Because they moved. Because a 68-year-old crossing guard named Martha Ellis jumped out of your way. Victoria blinks. Who? The woman in the orange vest you almost killed. That's dramatic. Caprio leans forward. Ms. Reyes, do we have Mrs. Ellis available? Yes, Your Honor. She's on the phone line. Please patch her through. A moment later, a shaky but steady voice fills the courtroom. Mrs. Ellis, this is Judge Caprio. Thank you for making time. Can you describe what you witnessed on October 14th? Yes, Your Honor. I've been a crossing guard for 12 years. I know when a car is going to stop and when it's not. That silver SUV, it wasn't slowing down. I barely got little Emma Chen out of the crosswalk before... Victoria interrupts. I had it under control. Mrs. Ashford, Caprio says, ice forming on every syllable. You will not interrupt a witness. Martha Ellis continues. Emma fell, scraped her knee, cried all the way to the nurse's office. She hasn't crossed that street without holding my hand since. Victoria looks at her nails. Mrs. Ellis, the judge says gently, thank you for your service and for your courage. Thank you, Your Honor. The line disconnects. Caprio turns back to Victoria. Do you have anything to say to Mrs. Ellis? I didn't intend for anyone to fall. That's not an apology. I'm not apologizing for something that wasn't my fault. Whose fault was it? The children should have been paying better attention. The courtroom gallery gasps, audibly. Officer Denton's jaw clenches. The clerk's fingers hover frozen over her keyboard. Mrs. Ashford, Caprio says, voice so quiet everyone leans forward. Did you just blame children for nearly being hit by your car? I'm saying they need to be more aware. They're 8 years old. Then their parents should teach them better. 15 seconds of silence. 20. Ms. Reyes, what else is in the file? The clerk shuffles papers. 2 certified summons were sent to Mrs. Ashford's address, both signed for by household staff. Neither appearance was made. Why didn't you appear, Mrs. Ashford? I forgot. Twice? I have a busy life, Your Honor. Charity galas, board meetings, foundation events, but no time for legal obligations. She shrugs again, that same careless gesture. Caprio flips a page. Ms. Reyes, is there anything else? Yes, Your Honor. 3 voicemails and 2 emails from Ashford Enterprises' legal team to the city attorney's office, all requesting, I'll quote, a quiet resolution in the interest of continued civic partnership. Victoria perks up. See? We were trying to handle this professionally. You were trying to buy your way out, Caprio corrects. That's not... Ms. Reyes, please read the email dated October 21st. The clerk clears her throat. From Harrison Watts, General Counsel, Ashford Enterprises. Our family has been a cornerstone of Providence's development for 3 decades. Mrs. Ashford's matter is a minor misunderstanding that should not require public proceedings. We trust the city values our ongoing contributions and will resolve this matter with appropriate discretion. Appropriate discretion, Caprio repeats slowly. Is that code for make it disappear? Victoria's lawyer finally speaks. Your Honor, my client's family has indeed been generous. Mr. Vance, generosity doesn't create immunity. Of course not, Your Honor. We're simply requesting proportionality. Proportionality. Caprio nods. Let's discuss that. He opens another folder, this one thicker. Mrs. Ashford, is this your first traffic violation? Her lawyer answers. Your Honor, Mrs. Ashford has a clean driving... I asked Mrs. Ashford. She shifts in her seat. I've had a few parking tickets. How many? I don't keep count. 17, Caprio reads. In 3 years, all in no parking zones, 6 near fire hydrants, 3 blocking accessible ramps. I pay them. That's not the point. Then what is the point? Every crosswalk is a promise. Break it, and someone pays. The point, Mrs. Ashford, is that you treat rules like suggestions. You treat people like obstacles. And you treat this courtroom like a transaction. Victoria stands abruptly. I don't have to listen to... Sit down. Caprio's voice doesn't rise. It hardens. She sits. You came into my courtroom dismissive. You called an officer a pathetic lowlife. You blamed children for your recklessness. You offered no remorse. And now you're offended that consequences exist? My husband will... Your husband is not here. You are. Victoria's face flushes red. Do you have any idea what my family does for this city? I've read the donation records, Mrs. Ashford. Very generous. Then you know we're important. You're influential. That's different. Influential people get treated with respect. Respect is earned, Mrs. Ashford, not purchased. Her voice rises. My family's tax contributions alone don't give you the right to endanger children. I didn't endanger. I watched the video. So did this courtroom. So will thousands of people online. She freezes. What? This hearing is public record. It's being recorded. You can't. I absolutely can. Transparency is how trust works. Victoria's hands ball into fists. My lawyer will have this thrown out. On what grounds? On the grounds that you're treating me unfairly because of who I am. Caprio leans back. I'm treating you exactly how I'd treat anyone who endangered children, destroyed evidence, ignored summons, and showed contempt for this process. This is ridiculous. I own... She stops herself, but not fast enough. You own what, Mrs. Ashford? Silence. Finish your sentence. Nothing. I didn't... You were about to say you own something here. What was it? This courtroom? Me? Her lawyer touches her arm. Victoria, please don't... She shakes him off. Fine. You want honesty? My family's donations keep half this city's programs running. Without us, you wouldn't have new library computers, park renovations, or updated emergency equipment. So yes, we own a piece of this city. And people like you, people like me? Public servants who forget who signs the checks. 5 seconds. 7, 10, 12. Those 12 seconds are the sound of power meeting principle. Mrs. Ashford, Caprio says, each word deliberate. You own nothing here but your conduct, and right now, your conduct is bankrupt. She jerks back like she's been slapped. Donations are beautiful when they're given freely, he continues. They become ugly when used as leverage. Your family's generosity should be its own reward, not a shield against responsibility. Influence is acceptable in philanthropy, not in procedure. Victoria's lawyer tries again. Your Honor, perhaps we can discuss a fine. We'll discuss a lot more than a fine, Mr. Vance. Caprio pulls the case file closer. Here's what I've established. On October 14th at 8:04 a.m., Mrs. Ashford drove recklessly through an active school zone. She nearly struck multiple children. She refused to stop for law enforcement. She verbally abused Officer Denton. She destroyed a legal citation. She failed to appear twice despite certified notice, and her legal team attempted to pressure the city into dismissal. He looks up. Mrs. Ashford, do you dispute any of these facts? I dispute your interpretation. That's not what I asked. She says nothing. Ms. Reyes, let the record show the defendant does not dispute the facts. The clerk types rapidly. Should every reckless driving case include restorative justice? Tell us below and subscribe to All Rise. Caprio folds his hands. Here's my finding. Mrs. Victoria Ashford is guilty on all charges: reckless driving, obstruction, destruction of citation, failure to appear, contempt. Victoria's lawyer starts to stand. Caprio holds up one hand. The base fine is $2,200. Additionally, I'm imposing the following restorative requirements. He reads slowly, like he's carving each word into stone. First, Mrs. Ashford will write formal apology letters to Officer Paul Denton and Martha Ellis. Handwritten, not typed, not dictated. Your words, your hand. Victoria's mouth opens, closes. Second, 200 hours of community service, 100 hours with the Traffic Safety Coalition, 100 hours with the Pedestrian Advocacy Program. You will serve alongside the people who work every day to keep our streets safe. 200 hours? I don't have... You'll make time. You found time for 17 parking violations. Her lawyer scribbles notes frantically. Third, you will record a public service announcement about reckless driving and accountability. It will air on local stations and run on city transit screens. You will speak directly to parents and children about the consequences of entitlement. You can't force me to... I can. And I am. This is humiliation. This is education. Caprio turns a page. Fourth, you will complete a civic ethics module. 8 weeks. It covers the relationship between wealth, power, and responsibility. You'll meet other offenders. You'll hear their stories. Victoria slumps in her chair. Fifth, you will write a 1,500-word reflection essay titled The Difference Between Influence and Immunity, due in 60 days. I'm not writing. You are, or you'll serve 30 days in county detention. That stops her cold. Sixth, Caprio continues, if you complete all requirements to the satisfaction of this court and the supervising agencies, I will reduce your fine by $800. Mercy isn't a discount, Mrs. Ashford. It's a lesson priced in time. He closes the file. Finally, I'm entering a formal recommendation into the record. This city will establish a public donor influence log. Any attempt by a contributor to affect legal proceedings will be documented and reviewed. We will create a firewall between philanthropy and procedure. Officer Denton straightens slightly. Additionally, Caprio says, I'm recommending expanded camera coverage in all school zones, a citizen report hotline for traffic violations, and a mandatory PSA initiative where offenders contribute to public safety education. He looks directly at Victoria. Your case will be the first test of this program. She stares at the table. Mrs. Ashford, do you understand these requirements? A long pause. Then, barely audible. Yes. Do you commit to fulfilling them? Another pause. Her lawyer whispers urgently in her ear. Yes, she finally says. Then we'll reconvene in 90 days for a compliance hearing. Dismissed. The gavel falls. Victoria doesn't move immediately. She sits frozen, processing. Then she stands. No eye contact with anyone. Walks toward the exit. Officer Denton watches her go, something unreadable in his expression. The courtroom empties slowly. People murmuring. Phones out. Already texting about what they just witnessed. 90 days later. Same courtroom. Different energy. Victoria Ashford enters wearing plain clothes. No jewelry. Hair pulled back simply. She sits at the defendant's table, hands folded. Mrs. Ashford, Judge Caprio says, Officer Brennan has submitted your community service logs. 200 hours completed. Perfect attendance. Multiple commendations from supervisors. He flips through papers. Officer Denton confirms receipt of your apology letter. He says it was, quote, genuine and thoughtful. Martha Ellis sent an email. May I read part of it? Victoria nods. Mrs. Ashford spent an afternoon with my crossing guard team. She learned all the children's names. She helped little Emma Chen practice safe crossing. Emma's not afraid anymore. Neither am I. Victoria's eyes glisten. Your PSA has aired 847 times across Providence Transit and local stations. The Traffic Coalition says it's the most watched safety message they've ever produced. He sets down the last paper. Your reflection essay. I read it twice. You wrote, I spent 42 years believing my last name was my identity. It took 200 hours in a safety vest to learn that my character is my legacy. Caprio removes his glasses, cleans them, puts them back on. Mrs. Ashford, here's what I've learned. You came into this courtroom believing power was transactional. You left learning it's relational. She nods slowly. The fine reduction stands, $1,400 total. Your record will show completion of all restorative requirements. Thank you, Your Honor. One more thing. Caprio pulls out a letter. The Pedestrian Advocacy Program nominated you to join their board. They believe your experience gives you unique perspective. Victoria looks up, surprised. That's not a requirement, he adds. That's an invitation. What you do with it is your choice. She takes the letter, hands shaking slightly. Authority is not for sale, Mrs. Ashford. It's for service. Don't forget that. I won't, Your Honor. The gavel falls again. But this time it sounds different. Less like a hammer. More like a closing door on an old life. 6 months after that. Providence City Council meeting. Packed chambers. The donor influence log policy passes unanimously. Every contribution over $10,000 now publicly tracked. Any attempt to leverage donations for legal leniency triggers automatic ethics review. School zone cameras expand to 40 locations. Accident rates drop 34% in the first quarter. The PSA initiative launches officially. 15 offenders participate in the first year. All required to speak on camera about their choices. Officer Denton receives a Community Service Award. In his speech, he mentions the importance of accountability for everyone, regardless of status. Martha Ellis gets a new crossing guard station with heated shelter and updated safety equipment. She names it the Emma Chen Safe Crossing Point. Victoria Ashford joins the Pedestrian Advocacy Board. Her first proposal, a scholarship fund for children of crossing guards and traffic officers. Her family's foundation funds it fully. No press release, no photo op, just a check and a quiet thank you note. At the next board meeting, someone asks her why she didn't publicize such a generous donation. Because, she says simply, some things you do for the right reasons, not the recognition. The camera cuts back to Judge Caprio's chambers. He's reviewing tomorrow's docket. A new case catches his eye. Similar facts. Different defendant. Same pattern of privilege meeting consequence. He pulls the file, makes a few notes, prepares his questions. Because in his courtroom, the scale never tips for wealth or name. It only tips for truth. He came in with a last name and left with a lesson. If this story proved justice should be earned, not bought, subscribe to All Rise and let us know what you think in the comments below. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.